It all started like any other evening. My wife, Anna, had mentioned earlier in the day that she was going out to dinner with two of her work friends, Sarah and Emily. They were planning to have a girls' night, which wasn't unusual. After the past few months of balancing work and parenting, she deserved a break. We had two young kids, both full of energy, and our lives were often chaotic. So I encouraged her to go, told her to have fun. It's not like we hadn't done this before. I trusted her. At least I thought I did. Anna had always been a social butterfly, and I never minded when she spent time with her friends. I had always believed in the importance of space in a marriage, giving each other room to breathe, to grow as individuals. But this night would change everything I thought I knew about her, about us. She left the house around 7 p.m., dressed casually but stylishly, a jacket, jeans, her usual workwear. She kissed me on the cheek, told me not to wait up for her, that she might be home late. I didn't think much of it. Our kids were already asleep, and I settled in for a quiet evening alone, watching some TV, scrolling through my phone, and then dozing off on the couch. I woke up at around 1:30 a.m. to the soft chime of a text. It was Anna. Asterisk, hey babe, had a little too much to drink. I'm gonna stay at Sarah's place tonight. See you in the morning, asterisk. It wasn't an unusual message. A night out, some wine with friends, crashing at one of their places. I knew that Sarah lived close by, so it didn't seem like anything out of the ordinary. I replied, asterisk, no problem, get some rest. Love you, asterisk. But something gnawed at me. It was subtle, like a faint alarm bell in the back of my mind, but I ignored it. After all, there was no reason not to trust her. I convinced myself it was just my imagination, that she was with her friends, unwinding after a long week. I rolled over, pulled the blanket over me, and fell back asleep. The next morning, she came home around noon. Her appearance surprised me. She looked off. She was still wearing the jacket from the night before, but something about her expression made me uneasy. She smiled, but it felt forced. Her hair was slightly disheveled, her face a little more tired than usual, but I didn't say anything. Morning, she said casually, though her eyes didn't meet mine. Hey, how was your night? I asked, trying to keep things light. It was fine, she replied, her voice a little flat. Can you put the car seats in my car for the kids? I need to run to my mom's. I agreed and headed out to her car, not thinking too much about it. But when I opened the passenger side door, my heart dropped. There, lying on the floor, was her bra from the night before. And as I reached into the center console to adjust something, I found something that made my stomach turn. Her underwear, bunched up and poorly hidden. These weren't clean. They were the same pair she'd worn out last night. I stood there for a moment, frozen. My mind raced through possible explanations, but none of them made sense. Why were her bra and underwear stuffed in the car? Why hadn't she come home after spending the night at her friend's? I picked up the bra and the underwear, turned and walked back into the house. Anna, I called out as I walked back inside. My voice was calm, but my heart was pounding. Can we talk? She was sitting at the kitchen table, scrolling through her phone, but when she saw the items in my hand, her eyes widened and her whole body tensed. For a moment, neither of us said anything. The air between us felt thick, suffocating. Why were your bra and underwear in the car? I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. She paused for a second too long before answering. Oh, I took them off on the way home because they were uncomfortable. I frowned. While driving, you were wearing pants. How did you take them off? Her face flushed with anger. What? You're accusing me of something. I'm not that kind of person, she snapped, her voice rising. I didn't do anything. I just took them off because I slept in them, and they were uncomfortable. That's all. Her sudden defensiveness caught me off guard. This wasn't like her. She was normally calm, reasonable. But now she was yelling, getting angrier by the second. The more questions I asked, the more her story seemed to change. First, she said she had taken off both her bra and underwear in the car. But then she backtracked, claiming it was only her bra. She quickly added that the underwear I found were just a backup pair, not the ones she wore last night. She said they were clean, and she had stashed them in the console because she was on her period. But something didn't add up. She had recently switched to using menstrual discs, so why would she need backup underwear? I reminded her that the underwear I found were the ones she had worn out the night before, not a spare pair. That's when she exploded. "You're crazy," she screamed, her face red with rage. "Those weren't the ones I wore. You're making things up in your head." She stormed off to the bedroom, only to return minutes later with a different pair of underwear, clean, of a different style and color, trying to convince me that this was what I had seen in the car. But I wasn't buying it. I knew what I saw. The more she yelled, the more I felt like I was being gaslit. She was trying to make me doubt myself, trying to make me believe that I was imagining things. But I wasn't. I had seen it with my own eyes. "Anna, please," I said, trying to keep my voice calm despite the whirlwind of emotions inside me. "I just want the truth." She glared at me, her chest heaving with anger. "I already told you the truth. You're just looking for something that isn't there." But it was her reaction that gave everything away. The anger, the changing stories, the defensiveness. It didn't add up. If there was nothing to hide, why was she so upset? Why couldn't she just explain things calmly like she normally would? Suddenly, she grabbed her purse and started packing the kids' things. "That's it. I'm taking the kids to my mom's. I can't deal with this." I stood there, feeling helpless as I watched her pack. My mind was racing with thoughts, doubts, and suspicions, but I didn't know what to say anymore. There was no convincing her to stay and talk. She had already made up her mind. With the kids packed in the car, she slammed the door and drove off. As I stood in the doorway, watching the car disappear down the street, I felt a wave of emotions crash over me. Confusion, anger, sadness, betrayal. What was happening to us? What had happened to the woman I thought I knew? For the rest of the day, I sat alone in the house, replaying the events of the past 24 hours over and over in my head. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was terribly wrong. And as I thought back to previous incidents, little things started to stand out. There were other nights when Anna had gone out with friends and came home acting strangely. There were moments when her phone would suddenly light up and she would quickly flip it over, not wanting me to see. There were excuses about late nights at work, about needing space. I had always brushed them off, not wanting to seem paranoid or controlling. But now, in light of what had just happened, all those moments seemed to take on new meaning. Was I being naive? Had there been signs all along that I had ignored? I felt sick to my stomach. I didn't want to believe that my wife, the mother of my children, could be cheating on me. But everything, her reaction, her changing stories, the underwear, the gaslighting, pointed to something being terribly wrong. By the time Anna returned later that evening, my mind was spinning with 1,000 unanswered questions. She walked in, still seething with anger, her face set in a hard expression. "I'm not staying here if you're going to keep accusing me of things I didn't do," she said coldly. "Anna," I said, my voice quiet but firm, "I need to know the truth. What happened last night?" She sighed heavily, rolling her eyes as if she was tired of the conversation already. "I told you. Nothing happened. I stayed at Sarah's, and that's it." But the look in her eyes told me everything I needed to know. She wasn't being honest with me. The defensiveness, the anger, the constant deflections, it all screamed of guilt. I realized then that no matter how much I wanted to believe her, no matter how much I loved her, I couldn't ignore the truth anymore. The days that followed were some of the hardest I've ever experienced. The trust that had once been the foundation of our relationship was shattered, and I was left feeling lost, confused, and utterly betrayed. I wanted to confront her again, to demand the truth, but every time I tried, she would shut down or lash out. It became clear that she wasn't ready to be honest, and I wasn't sure if she ever would be. Our marriage, once built on love, trust, and partnership, now felt like it was crumbling beneath the weight of lies and betrayal. I didn't know if we could ever recover, if we could ever go back to the way things were. For now, I'm left with a heavy heart, trying to piece together the fragments of what was once a life I thought I understood. And I can't help but wonder if I'm the only one who feels this way, or if there are others out there like me who trusted too much and learned the truth too late. What will happen next? Only time will tell.